Hi, Topher here. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a subject that I think has been sensationalized a little too much. You've probably seen pictures of these. These are Chinese bridge ships. You've probably seen videos or articles or something mentioning these Chinese bridge ships. I think in Chinese they're calling them shui qiao, which in English translates literally to water bridge. And these are very interesting. They seem to be specifically designed to overcome one of Taiwan's greatest advantages, which is its geography. So most of Taiwan's beaches are not suitable for landing craft. They're too shallow or they're rocky. And these newly developed Chinese bridge ships seem to be able to overcome that. It gives China more options for landing sites. I specifically chose this Wall Street Journal video to react to about it, so we're going to react to parts of this video. If you want to watch the whole thing, I have the link in the description below. It's pretty well made. I mean, it's by a very large media outlet, the Wall Street Journal. However, they fail to talk about the challenges that these Chinese bridge ships would face. There's a lot of limitations, a lot of challenges, and a lot of vulnerabilities that this system have, which to me seem kind of obvious, but they're rarely mentioned. And this video that I'm going to react to parts of it, it has over 1.3 million views. Wow. And doesn't mention any of the challenges and the limitations that these Chinese ships have. Okay? So I feel that these Chinese bridge ships have maybe been sensationalized a little too much. I do think that they're a concern. I think they're worth paying attention to. However, there are limitations to them that many people haven't even mentioned. So I'm just going to give my opinion on it. And if you have any thoughts, then please leave them in the comments below. Okay, let's check out what the Wall Street Journal has to say.
This massive mobile pier system could one day be used to deliver an unprecedented number of troops and equipment in an amphibious invasion. It's being built by China in a shipyard constructing vessels that are changing modern warfare. As Beijing escalates its military activity around Taiwan and rapidly builds its naval and civilian fleets, China's threat to seize the island could be coming closer to reality.
To be able to deliver vehicles at huge volume straight to the beach without having to capture a port changed the calculus of whether China could successfully invade Taiwan.
Shugot says the ships represent a significant improvement in the People's Liberation Army's amphibious assault capacity.
We had never seen before this kind of matching set that were designed to go together in multiple sizes.
About 2 months after this satellite image was taken, the ships were seen on China's Nanshan Island, roughly 225 miles southwest. This is where the first known footage was captured, showing the ships in sea trials.
A couple of things were surprising about it. One was that they were all connected. Also seeing them lifted up out of the water, that was quite impressive. I had not seen anything quite like that before.
I have to agree with that. When I first heard about these ships, I did not expect that they were designed to all fit together in a row like that. That's pretty interesting. And how they're able to lift up off the water. That's a unique design. Very clever.
The three ships were seen about 12 miles south 2 days later, where these systems were put to the test.
It was probably just a testing trial to be able to verify that they connect together properly, that they can connect to the bottom properly, and that ships can moor with these platforms in the way that was intended.
So these ships have been designed to work in conjunction with roll-on, roll-off ferries, or ro-ro ferries.
China regularly uses its civilian fleet of what are known as roll-on, roll-off ferries in military transport exercises, and has demonstrated they can carry some of its heaviest vehicles. The landing platforms appear specifically designed to link with these commercial ships.
It has 2 side ramps, one on each side, that can flip down, and we have seen them connect to roll-on, roll-off ferries that can basically back up to those ramps and drive vehicles off.
With as many as 5 points of contact where ships could offload, The linked platforms could potentially transfer hundreds of vehicles ashore per hour, including some of the PLA's heaviest.
I would be very surprised if these structures and the bridges are not also built to at least those same standards and able to deliver any of the Chinese military's armored vehicles, including main battle tanks.
Well, I have to agree with him there as well. I'm sure that these are designed to carry all of China's ground-based vehicles. And yes, I think this is a very concerning capability. This is something that Taiwan and the U.S. absolutely need to pay attention to.
One of the things that analysts and the Taiwanese military have been able to have some confidence in over the years is that there were a fairly limited number of locations where the Chinese could potentially land on Taiwan, thereby allowing Taiwan to concentrate its defensive efforts in those places. This could thin out Taiwan's defenses and make it harder to defend all the different places that now exist.
All right, now I have to disagree with that a little bit. Taiwan's not a huge place. Even if defense might have been planned on a specific beach, there's a lot of systems that Taiwan has, especially artillery, which has the range to reach any beach in Taiwan. And Taiwan's only developing more systems like this and buying more, like the HIMARS from the U.S. Additionally, a lot of Taiwan's defenses are designed to happen within the Taiwan Strait. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
After the sea trials, the 3 landing platforms returned to the same Guangzhou shipyard, where China is building a second set.
One right here, one right here, and one right here.
US officials say Chinese leader Xi Jinping instructed the PLA to be capable of invading Taiwan by 2027. Most military experts agree China isn't ready to execute a full-scale amphibious invasion yet. But these landing platforms might be the key to making one possible in the near future.
Okay, so a couple of points that I think need to be made about the limitations of these landing ships. Okay, so let's talk about some of the challenges that these ships would face. The moment that they leave in a fleet with a bunch of loaded up roll-on, roll-off ships and tugboats. You can see that they need tugboats and, of course, an escort because they don't have any air defense capabilities, so they're going to need to have some sort of escort. It's going to be obvious what these are. U.S. intelligence is going to pick them up immediately. There's no way to hide this from satellites, and they'll be high priority targets. They're going to face fire the moment that they start their invasion run. They're going to be under fire from long-range anti-ship missiles. They're going to be under fire from more medium-range missiles like Harpoon missiles. They're going to be under fire from rocket artillery, that HIMARS I mentioned earlier, as well as other capabilities, drones. And just the closer that they get to Taiwan, there's just more and more and more weapon systems that are going to be able to attack and target these ships. Okay, now let's take a look at the most vulnerable part of this whole system. It's a very complex system that they've built up. Requires 3 ships and loaded up roll-on, roll-off ferries, but it all depends on that very last bridge. So this part right here is what we call the Achilles heel. So if this gets damaged, the whole system is inoperable. And there's all sorts of weapon systems that can not only damage this bridge, but the vehicles on the bridge. So damaging or destroying the vehicles that are crossing the bridge, creating essentially a roadblock in the middle of the bridge, that also neutralizes the entire system. And Taiwan has a lot of weapon systems that are able to disable a vehicle. So in a hypothetical situation where these ships are actually able to successfully make shore, this requires a lot of factors. The ships would have to reach Taiwan safely. They would have to also have their roll-on, roll-off ferries reach Taiwan safely. They would need their tugboats to reach Taiwan safely. In a lot of spaces, these ships would require high tide, so they're set at a very limited window of opportunity during the day to actually set up probably takes a lot of time for these ships to actually set up and maneuver and dock, connect to each other. So assuming that they're able to perform all of these feats successfully without any problems, there's still a lot of options that Taiwan has to neutralize this entire system. And again, they don't have to destroy the bridge itself, which is very feasible. They just have to destroy vehicles that are on that bridge. And the whole thing just becomes a backed up choke point, one big fat target. Now keep in mind, vehicles like tanks, these require a lot of service and support. So just tanks won't be unloaded on a system like this. It will also require fuel trucks, ammunition trucks. So any weapon system that Taiwan has that is able to stop a fuel truck, which is as small as a sniper team, can essentially have the capability of neutralizing this whole bridge system. Of course, a sniper team like that would be probably the smallest and least likely, but we're talking mortars, tow missiles, javelin anti-tank missiles, and of course drones. Imagine how effective an FPV, a first-person view drone, would be in rendering this bridge or the vehicles on the bridge completely useless, neutralized. All it takes is some drones that have shape charges or thermite charges on them, and it's over. And again, this whole setup would be just one giant fat artillery target. I think it's a viable strategy to let the roll-on, roll-off ferries actually successfully dock and start unloading, and then unload a massive artillery barrage when it's just one big, fat, huge, stationary target. Now, the video did mention that they're building a second set of these. I think that's a little concerning, but honestly, it's not until they probably have about 5 sets that I'm going to be worried. And we'll see if it even comes to that. So to sum it up, do I think it's a concern? Yes, absolutely, it's a concern. However, the countermeasures are vast. There's a lot of countermeasures. And I think that Taiwan can develop more countermeasures faster than China can actually develop these ships. Now, of course, I think Taiwan and the U.S. need to continue to work together to build up enough deterrence to make sure that an invasion doesn't even actually ever happen. I think they're doing a good job with that, especially recently, but there's always more work to be done. There's a phrase that the U.S. Army engineers use, which is the defense is never finished. And that basically means that there's always something that can be done to improve your defenses. So again, when I see something like that, I think Taiwan is making the appropriate measures with its anti-ship capabilities that it's developing and already has. However, I also think it's worth that Taiwan considers these bridge ships and develops probably drones, I think would be the best case, the best weapon, but develops weapon systems that can defeat these bridges without much effort. And I think a drone with thermite or shape charges is a good solution there. So let me know what you think. I'm really curious in your opinions here. Leave them in the comments below. Thanks a lot for watching. If you're not already subscribed, then please consider subscribing and like the video if you do like it. Those little things really help out the channel a lot. And a special thank you to the channel members. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. You're keeping the channel alive. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.